So before I reached out to Demandii, I had a problem on my hands. I sold an enterprise software product which required a lot of education to our prospects, and it was brand new. So we were sort of creating demand in the market versus generating demand in that market, which meant I needed to get in touch with a lot of senior level SEO VPs and executives in order to let them know that this new product existed. The traditional inbound marketing strategy was going to work. It was going to take a really long time that I didn't have. So we decided to take a different path with personal branding with Demandii. I started creating a lot of content on my own before I reached out to Demandii, and it turned out to be very time consuming. I had to take notes throughout the week and put them into a notepad in order to try to ideate on different LinkedIn topics that I would cover. I'd have to review those topics. I'd have to try to record these videos, edit the videos, do the voiceover, add the captions, publish at certain times. And even with a lot of resources, it still just took a significant amount of my time that I really just didn't have. So I had a problem. I wasn't able to create this authentic brand on LinkedIn that I wanted to, and I wasn't able to get my message across, and I wasn't able to connect with my ideal buyers unless I took a large amount of my time, probably 4 to 5 hours a week, to create 1 or 2 posts per week. So the ROI for me just really wasn't there. So when I contracted Demandii, the first thing they did was an in-depth audit of who my buyers are, what words they use, what problems my software, my services solve, and they took really good notes. They had a comprehensive Excel file which housed all of this information on my voice, my tone, and the types of content pieces that I would want to create. And this was essential because that served as the blueprint for all of the subsequent content pieces that they would publish for us on polls on LinkedIn, video content on LinkedIn, and written posts on LinkedIn. So essentially, I would meet with Demandii once a month for 1 hour. Jeevan, who was my account person, who was wonderful. She knew everything about my business, everything about my brand voice. Even after just 1 or 2 sessions with her, she really had a good understanding of who I was about and what we were trying to do, even though it was a little complex. She would take time throughout the week to come up with really smart questions to ask me or prompts that I could easily just answer off the cuff and speak into a camera and into a microphone. She would record it, she would edit it, she would add captions, and then she would schedule it and post it almost every single weekday. And just by having me spend 1 hour per month recording videos in my own natural way, I was able to increase my LinkedIn presence by like 10 or 20x in terms of my following and my post engagement. One of the first moments that I experienced where I thought, wow, this is a really cool service was after my first month of working with Demandii. I got a I got a monthly report that summarized all 20 of the posts that had gone out that month. And I started to see trends in what the top 3 posts were all about, and it wasn't what I expected. One of the posts was just a personal post about my family. Another one was just a really short post idea that Jeevan had at Demandii that I didn't think much of, and a third one was kind of a more long form piece of content. So it surprised me to see the analytics of what people were actually liking and engaging with. It was much different than what I had anticipated in my head. And keep in mind, I've been working in digital marketing for over 10 years. So I felt that I had a pretty good understanding of what people were going to interact with on LinkedIn. But it turns out, unless you actually go and try a couple different things, you don't actually know what your audience is gonna engage with the most. So it was a really helpful exercise for us to be able to see that monthly report and understand what our audience really cares about so that we can start doubling down on that and creating more of that video content on LinkedIn. Almost immediately, I started getting comments on my posts from senior level SEO people that I'd never even met before that had just started following me. And On two occasions in the first 2 months, we received inbound leads from a Fortune 500 company that ended up closing into two $25,000 deals. So that was a pretty big win. It lowered my return on investment from the nominal cost of what we paid Demandii to a $25,000 deal, and it happened almost instantaneously. So it was pretty obvious that my essentially my entire year of Demandii was paid for by the first 2 months of sales. I think there's a lot of people that can leverage a service like Demandii. I think small business owners to start to grow their personal brand would be very important. Any content creators on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok that want a faster way to create content on LinkedIn in a more professional way. I think senior level executives would benefit by starting to have a voice and start to establish their brand on online and on LinkedIn. Essentially, any business professional that cares about getting paid more for what they're doing should really start to establish a personal brand online. And unless you're using a service like Demandii, creating content online in any sort of scalable way is nearly impossible.